Hey, this is Stu Schaefer, and I'm about to share the best foods for fat loss, especially in menopause. Yes! Okay, so let's dive right in. I want to show you what happens when you change the foods. When you eat the right foods at the right time in the right combination, your body will literally turn into a fat burning furnace. And I want to show you Michelle, because when Michelle started with me, she had been one of those people who had always been in good shape, and then when menopause hit, she fell out of shape. She was devastated. She hated her body. She had gotten the pooch around her stomach and had put on all this fluff and fat. When we just made a couple of tweaks, she never had to cut calories. In fact, she increased her calories. She was eating 1,900, 2,000 calories a day, lots of carbohydrates, and her body literally melted away the body fat, as you can see from her pictures. So what did we do? Well, we just started to create the right chemical reactions in her body. And you can do this. You can control your body by the food you put in and the exercise or activity that you do. And this really is the most important piece. When you eat the right food at the right time in the right combination, what's going to happen is you're going to make the body take the food that you put in it and actually use it. The body's going to send it to your brain, your muscles, your liver, your cells, your organs, and it's not going to store it in your fat cells. So you'll never be depositing anything in the fat cells. Well, now you don't have to cut calories or restrict in order to burn fat because you're not adding any fat. And the body now is utilizing the food you eat. That's going to speed up your metabolism. It's going to tone your muscles. It's going to help improve your thyroid function, your other hormones. You're never going to be hungry. Your energy will be through the roof. And this is called putting your body in the thermogenic state. The problem most people have, and especially women, double especially if you're a woman in menopause, is you have something called repressed metabolic syndrome. What that is, simply put, is your body has stopped producing the right hormones and enzymes to burn fat. It's producing the wrong hormones and enzymes. So now when you eat, the food goes straight to your fat cells. The body doesn't use it how it's supposed to. But then when you exercise, because your body's not able to pull that food in and the nutrients, when you exercise, you end up burning off muscle, and it's very difficult for you to burn off fat. Well, now you got a problem, okay? When you exercise, you burn muscle. This makes you look soft and flabby, and it wrecks your metabolism. But when you eat, the food goes straight to your fat cells. This is repressed metabolic syndrome. You have to reverse it. This is why so many people have to cut calories. They're eating incorrectly, and so most of the food goes to their fat cells. We want to flip that around, and so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to talk about the 4 different main food groups, and I'm going to talk about what you need to look for and my top 3 foods in each category. And so let's just dive right in. Number 1 is protein. Protein gets all the positive publicity. You'd think it was like the most, best miracle since sliced bread. Protein is good. It's great for the body. You need it, but it's not the end-all be-all. You still have to have other foods. But I'll talk about protein first here. So there's 4 things you've got to consider when you're looking at proteins, okay? Number 1, you really want it to be lean. Right now, there's a lot of folks out there and influencers that say, oh, yeah, we got it wrong. Saturated fats, they're actually fine. They're not unhealthy like everyone said they were. Well, that's not entirely true. There are different fats, which we're going to talk about. And really, if you can get your protein from a lean source and mix it with a healthier fat, that's better than getting your protein from a real fatty source like bacon or ribs or chicken drumsticks or chicken thighs or things like that. The types of fats will impact your body differently. You also really want to get a complete protein. There's proteins out there that are incomplete. They don't have all the amino acids, and then there's proteins that are complete. They do have all the amino acids, and the complete proteins are so much more effective at putting your body into the right state, getting your body to kick out some of these hormones and enzymes that you need. All right, well, there's 2 other considerations. One is, should you be eating connective tissue protein? That would be things like collagen or gelatin or bone broth. And the answer is yes. Those are great because you're essentially what you're doing is you're getting more variety of types of proteins. And you may have heard online, some people will say, hey, I eat the cow from nose to tail. And what that means is they're eating every part of the animal, which is how we used to do it back in the day, And that has some benefits. What about dairy? That's the last consideration. Look, this can be good and it might not, I think about 80%, I'm not exaggerating, 80% of the people in the world are lactose intolerant. They're not really good with a lot of dairy products. And so even though dairy might be a protein, and in some cases it has some benefits, if it's causing inflammation or it's causing a bad reaction in your body, you really don't want that. Okay, so what are my top 3 proteins? Well, let's just list them off. Number 1 is a chicken breast. Chicken breasts are wonderful. They're easy, they're inexpensive. You can cook them a variety of ways and make wonderful recipes out of them. They're nice and lean and very high quality. Number 2 would be salmon. Okay, salmon's great. Now that has a lot of fat in it. Wait, Stu, didn't you say you should eat lean proteins? Salmon has a very special type of fat that's unique, and that is one fat that is especially good for you. And even though salmon is a higher fat protein, it does have the right type of fat that will really help your body reduce inflammation, help with cholesterol. Typically won't get stored as fat that easily. So salmon's awesome. And then last is a London broil. That's a steak. If you're watching and you're not from the US, I'm not sure what it's called, but London broil is a great steak. It's lean. It's a wonderful way to get some red meat, which is a lot of benefit to. Lots of minerals and iron and glutamine and creatine in the red meat. So those are my top 3 proteins. All right, let's look at number 2, which is carbs. This is where everyone freaks out. The carbs, carbs are evil. No, keep them away. They're not evil, okay, but you do need to know something. We're going to talk about 3 key points. Number 1, you do need fructose, contrary to what a lot of people think. Now, that's not the same as high fructose corn syrup. You don't want high fructose corn syrup. You want fructose. Okay, that's going to really do some great things for your body, and it will really be able to help your thyroid function. So you do want some of that. Now, the catch is you can't have too much. Too much is bad. Then the body will store it as fat. So you need enough, but not too much. Then you have glucose. Okay, this is going to go into the blood. This is what causes blood sugar spikes when you have the wrong types of carbs or too much at once, or you don't balance or combine or time them correctly. And then you have something here called grains. Okay, grains, things like rice and oatmeal and corn and quinoa and things like that. And some people do very well with grains, whole grains. Their body loves them, and other people don't. How do you know? Well, everyone's a little bit different, and depending on your symptoms, the history of what diets you've done, where your body's at, what kind of things you're dealing with, your challenges, you may want grains, you may not. This is obviously what I look at with folks is, are you a candidate for grains or cutting out the grains, which is different than gluten. You gotta figure this stuff out because you might be eating really healthy food, but if your body's not processing or digesting it well, then yeah, it's gonna have a negative impact. So my top 3 carbs are number 1, wild rice. Hey, guess what? That's not a grain. It's the one kind of rice that isn't a grain. It's very, very healthy, very awesome. If you can find pure wild rice, that's a great option. Okay, number 2 is sweet potato. This is very different from regular old russet or white potatoes. Sweet potato is completely different and it's much healthier. So sweet potato is awesome. And then number 3 is my third favorite are the berries. You've heard me probably talk about that if you've seen some of my other lessons. And I'll splash one up here. These are my favorite carbs. I'm going to splash a video up there. You can go check that out, what the best carbs are. But berries are great. Of all the fruit, they're awesome. But there's so many great fruits out there. It just depends on if you have any sensitivities to things like citrus or, if you have any gut issues, digestive issues. But fruit can be marvelous. You just got to eat the right kinds and especially have it at the right time of day. Now, I'll put a little link to a lesson all about timing and differences in what your body does through the day. So check that out. All right, let's look at number 3, fats. Fats are not all created equal. There's 10 main types of fats that we get through the day. And you really, 2 are pretty decent. One is monounsaturated and then the other is omega-3s. Now, that doesn't mean that they're just automatically healthy and you can eat whatever you want or how much you want. You need to make sure they're in the right proportion to certain things. And sometimes at a meal, you'll want to add a fat. And sometimes you won't. It depends on your goals. It depends on the time of day. It depends on what else you're eating. And this is where some of the nuances come into play. For everyone's body is a little bit different. Depends on what kind of activity and exercise you're doing. It depends on what diets you've done in the past, how much you've been eating, what you've been eating, your genetics, how much body fat you have. All these would determine the type and the amount and how to combine these at each meal. But fats, for the most part, can be utilized. You just don't need that much. And a lot of people will just consume way too many. And especially in the U.S., people consume way too many omega-6, which is still an unsaturated fat. And this causes a lot of inflammation. Because they think, oh, well, it's unsaturated, it's healthy. No, it's not necessarily the case. You have to still be careful. They can cause a lot of problems and inflammation in the gut, which a lot of times can cause gut issues and thyroid issues. So be careful. So here are my top 3 fats. I love walnuts. They're amazing. Absolutely wonderful. And second would be olives. They're great too. Doesn't matter what kind. You can mix it up. They're delicious and they're a lot of fun. You can add them to your meals and really brings out some great flavor. And then avocado. Now, a lot of you have heard, if you've seen my lessons before, I don't recommend avocado toast, and I really don't, okay, because that's just not a great combination. It's not a good meal. But avocado inserted at certain times of the day with certain foods is great. It's a wonderful, healthy fat and give you some great monounsaturated fats, has some good fiber in it. It's a wonderful food, absolutely healthy. You just have to know when and how to use it. And that is on an individual basis. Okay, last one, vegetables. Caution, caution, caution. Why? Well, vegetables are oftentimes the culprit for a lot of inflammation, and especially with women in menopause. Some of these cruciferous vegetables, that everyone's saying, you got to eat more cruciferous vegetables, eat more. And then you do, and you go, I'm bloated, and why can't I lose weight? And oh my gosh, what's going on? This is a thing. Or you get those super green powders, or you get that Orgain protein powder and it's got 50 little vegetables in it. This can be very, very bad, very detrimental. You have to be careful. Now, just remember, vegetables have natural pesticides in them without any man-made pesticides. These are so that the bugs don't eat them, so that they can survive, okay? I think it's been proven now that plants are actually sentient things. They actually can evolve and do things to survive, and so over the years they've evolved, and so they have these natural pesticides and natural toxins that can sometimes make them bitter, make the animals not want to eat them, and this is essentially how they've survived. Well, if we eat them and our bodies are maybe not digesting something well, or we have an issue that we don't know about, sometimes these veggies can actually cause inflammation, stop the fat burning process. They can cause bloating, gas, gut issues. And so you have to be careful. You have to be careful. But obviously veggies are healthy, and sometimes you should eat them raw. Sometimes you need to cook them a little bit, but not too much. And this, again, would all depend on your symptoms, what you're going through, how you feel after you eat them, if you have bloating, if you have gas, if you have inflammation, puffiness, any sort of autoimmune or gut issue, or even thyroid issues. So you have to be cautious. But let me give you my top 3. Number 1 is asparagus. That's pretty healthy. That's pretty darn safe. Never seems to really bother too many people. It's a wonderful veggie. Number 2, lettuce. I mean, come on, that's great. It's so versatile. You can make salads. You can wrap things in lettuce. Romaine is great. Red leaf, green leaf, those are great lettuce options, and very easy. And it tastes pretty good. It's very refreshing, especially if it's warm out or hot. And then lastly is zucchini. Okay, that's another great one. Now, don't be frying it in oil and all this stuff, And what's great with zucchini is you can have it in little silver dollars, you can have it in strips, you can spiralize it and make it into noodles. Again, it's really versatile. It can be a lot of fun, and you can really use your imagination on how you prepare it. Veggies are wonderful to add to meals because they add fiber, they add vitamins and minerals. They really help with the digestion process. But again, if you're using the wrong kind for you, if your body doesn't like them, you may be actually hurting yourself and preventing your body from losing weight. And this is why, people, for example, with Hashimoto's, sometimes it's the veggies that cause you to gain weight. And so you're thinking, geez, I'm eating so healthy, I'm so disciplined, I'm so strict, and I'm gaining weight. What's going on? A lot of times, this is the culprit. Now, you want all the foods. You don't want to restrict foods. You don't want to cut out food groups. But you do want to combine them all correctly, time them correctly. You need the right amounts, but not too much. And that's going to be a little bit different for everyone's body. It will also change as your body changes. And this is where the science and really the art and the precision comes in. And with women in menopause, you just need to be more precise. Your bodies need things that are a little bit different. Now, I'm going to splash up a couple of video lessons here that'll really go deep into some of these concepts. You're going to want to watch those, okay? I hope this was helpful. I'll see you over there on the other lessons. All right, we'll see you soon. Take care.